Blase, blase, blase.
My name is Triss Msabane. I'm a photographer and I'm based in Port Elizabeth. I used to, a couple of years back, I used to chill around with someone who had a camera, and then she'd like work at an event, not formally, just for herself to document. And sometimes she'd get tired, so she'd give me the camera. Okay, I could try it out. And then she started giving me the camera on a more regular basis. Like, she'd like be like, oh, take the pictures, go edit them, submit them yourself, and then you can give me the camera back later. And like sometimes I keep it for a week or two. And yeah, that's basically how I started. And then I started learning cameras from people until I got my own. I think there's so much to tell with pictures. There's so many ways to interpret like a single photo. Not necessarily that it can tell 1,000 words, but I think I can tell stories through pictures, and I like that about it. It's my way of maybe communicating on a big scale, like to a lot of people at the same time. That's my preferred method, and I like that it allows me to do that. I love that about it. So we did a little photo shoot before the dinner started, and those are the images I'm going to record. So basically, copied them from my camera into a folder, this one, and then from here, I import them into Lightroom. You can just drag and drop. That also works. So your images will be selected in your import, and then just wait for them to load. So these are the images I've selected. I've selected the images to edit. Then you press import. Usually I'll import the entire folder, like the entire batch of images, but this is for this. So we'll start with the portrait show one. I start all my edits on Lightroom. It's very easy to work with, especially if you're a starter, but also it's got some very cool development tools that you can work with, whether your pictures are JPEG or RAW. I usually start on my tone curve. That will adjust some highlights, which is the shiny parts on people's faces or in the image, and some shadowing, adjust my lighting on the picture, basically exposure. Your tone curves control the top of it, controls your highlights. You want to increase that just a little bit depending on what the picture looks like. And then in the middle, it's your gamma exposure, so makes it darker or lighter, the general feel of the picture. And then to the bottom, it's your darks, your shadows and stuff, the darker areas of the picture, but it's also general exposure of the image. So I usually just take that up a little bit just to give a bit more color if a bit more light if my picture's a bit down. Then at the bottom is shadows. It depends what you're working on. If you want a really clean picture, you'll probably take this up so that it removes any shadows and it looks like the light was coming from a 360 direction. But since this is it was sunset, we all know it was sunset, so I want to keep the natural feel of the picture. So I'll just take down my shadows to compensate for the added light I added here in my darks and lights. After that, I want to sharpen my image. So this area gives you a general view of what the image will look like if you zoom it in. I'll take my sharpening, I sharpen it up to maybe 50 or 48. Luminance is to stop having your picture be grainy. So I'll take that up just a little bit. It sort of counters the sharpening, but together they have a really good feel. The picture has character, but at the same time it's not grainy, like you took it in the dark. I go back to like some basics up on my treatment. You'll want to use the temperature if you want to change like how the picture feels. So I still want to keep it towards sunset, so I'll take it a bit warm bit, and then I'll take down some highlights again here just a little bit, and then some shadows up. This is because like it adds a bit more light as well, and I don't want my picture to be dark. I don't want it to be overexposed, but I don't want it to be dark as well. Take down your darks again, like they're like the opposite of shadows, so they'll create a bit more character as well. So then I want to play around with it more in my effects, in my camera calibration. You basically choose like colors and the intensities on the picture, and you choose like which way to like whether the tint is a bit more purple or a bit more green. I want to keep this one natural because I like the yellow in it. Then I just basically play around with it to see what's gonna look nice. Okay, so when I'm done with this, I'll just like zoom into the picture just to see if there's like some stuff that maybe I missed in terms of like darkening and stuff. All of this, like the face itself, I'll sort out later in Photoshop. So now I have like the general template of what I want my image to look like. If I've got a big batch to edit, I'll usually just copy these settings. You can copy them, like you choose what you want to be copied from this image, and then I'll go paste it on the next image. What works well with this setting is when you have like really large amounts of pictures taken in the same settings using the same camera settings. So you could you can paste it. For example, I'm going to paste this one here, but the sunlight wasn't coming from the same direction, so my light source is a bit different. So this one looks a bit overexposed. So I'm going to go back to my tone curve and like decrease the light so that my color pops out back again, because now it's just it's desaturated by the light. And then I'm going to add a bit more darkness, a bit more of the blacks to accentuate the color in the picture. I'm happy with that. Then the next picture that I have, I've also taken it from a different angle. Now the sun is coming directly towards their faces, even though it was cloudy on the day I shot. So I want to use the settings from the image that I just finished now. So instead of copy and paste, you could also do previous, which basically takes what you did in that image, copies it directly into this one. But you see, obviously now I have too much exposure because the sun is directly in their face. So again, I'll go and like turn down my tone curve so that I can have some good balanced lighting. Maybe you want to turn down the whites as well, because they also add to the exposure of the image. Then you just want to zoom in and see if like it doesn't hold onto the image the wrong way. So then I'm done with these. So what I want to do now is I want to go into Photoshop and play around with this image. Because it's a portrait image, it's going to have a lot of detail on the face that shows up when zoomed into the picture. So what I want to do is I want to go in Photoshop and I want to clean up some of the numbers on the face and maybe play around a little bit more with the feel of the image itself. So what we're going to do now, so I'm going to export these. So I select all of them, the file, and export these. So Control 0 so I can see the image full frame. Then what I'm going to do is I've stored an action here. So I did something and I recorded what I was doing, so it's just going to replicate what I did. It works better for like efficiency because I do it to every image that I'm going to do. So I'm going to do a retouch on. It's called frequency separation. Like I learned it off YouTube like a couple of weeks back. It shows all the actions that I did to get to that specific place that I want to go to. So now I'm going to select it, then as an action, then I'm going to play it. So on the right here, what it does is it creates like different layers with different settings that I've set so that I can edit my picture in 2 layers basically. Alright, so this is the original background that I had. Now I'm going to work with this. So Control J, just duplicate that layer so that if I make a mistake I can delete it and have the original layer still there. So what I want to do is I'm going to open up like a brush, a healing brush, spot healing brush tool, zoom into the picture. What I want to do here is like just touch up areas that I feel are too extreme compared to the rest of the face. So like I can play around with the pimples. I find the source for what I want it to look like, and then I go to that place and I just click on it. So that was the smooth part of the face. It just like takes away any pimples and blemishes.
Bye bye, that's a no-no. Can't forget about your problem. We up all night to the morning. Pull up starlight tomorrow. Bye bye, that's a no-no.
Okay, so now I'm done with that. Also, don't get carried away with it. Yeah, can have like disastrous consequences. So now, basically done my frequency separation. It's like basics. Some people go like way more extreme, like they get into zones and stuff. So now what I want to do is I'm going to do a bit more retouching of the image. So I'll go to image, I'll go to layer, and then add a new adjustment layer, and I'm going to add some curves. So your curves are basically your tone curve, which I had in Lightroom. Then you just select some points here where you want it to bend. Usually I just play around with it and see like my desired look. Like if I stumble across and like, oh, okay, that looks nice. Then lastly I am going to add a solid color. So again, go to my layer, new adjustment layer. So basically it's like, it's not a filter because you get to choose what the color is. So it's not like your Instagram filters. You get to choose its density, how much you want it to like overshadow the image, to have an effect on the image. But I still want to keep like my white walls at the back, but I just wanted to create a bit of a tint on maybe her clothes and her skin. You can try other colors as well, and you'll see it works differently. Maybe you scroll down and you find the right color for whatever you're looking for. Here I think I'm gonna go with a bit of blue, just make it a bit cold because of the fact that I was working with sunset. It's gonna like counter that sunset. And yeah, that's it, I'm done. And then I'm just gonna save my image. Okay guys, let Sally know in the comments who you'd like to see on the next edit series.
And the DMs.
And the DMs.
And DM.
Yes. You didn't tell me that.
There's no need for no sleep, no.